but I didn't want to exclude anybody. So not that LGBTQIA plus isn't long enough, but I added something else. It's LGBTQIA plus everybody else. And so that the whole world is invited to participate, whatever your romantic preference, whatever your gender identity, and that's been a very successful way of presenting the work. And it's also very unique.
My dear colleague from New York City, Frederick Schjang, isn't just a great Feldenkrais teacher. He has a unique way of teaching it. He created unique channels and events to offer it, and also to make it part of people's lives when they're not lying on the mat, which is most of the time, so it kind of makes sense. Besides, he has a lovely deep voice, a lovely sense of humor, and a contagious laughter. So basically, a fine person to be around. I think you'll enjoy my conversation with Frederick as much as I did. You're listening to Your Moving Mind, the meeting point of movement and mindfulness, and everything in between. Move your mind your movement, with your host, Michael Landau. Before diving into today's episode, let me tell you about mindful movement every day. I've recently created a 5-day course that takes you through the process I developed in the last few years. This course, Mindful Movement Every Day, is so far completely free. It leads you through 5 daily movement sessions. You slow down, you pay attention, you explore yourself for a few minutes, and you improve. Mindful Movement Every Day doesn't only give you 5 days of mindful movement, it teaches you how to keep doing it for a short moment every day. I don't know how long it will stay free of charge, so don't wait too long. Go to persistent-growth.com and sign up. Start moving mindfully today, and you'll never want to stop doing it. persistent-growth.com. And I'll see you in mindful movement every day. Hello, and this is Your Moving Mind, and I'm here with my special guest for today, Frederick Schjang. Did I say it right? Schjang?
Yes, you did. Most people
Okay.
get it wrong. I was expecting to have to make a little correction or something, but no, that's good. That's really good.
So, Frederick Schjang, my dear colleague, another one of these colleagues in the world whom I've never met in person, but we seem to know each other already pretty well. We've met quite a bit on the screen. So how are you today, Frederick?
I'm doing very, very well. I'm really excited to be able to talk about Feldenkrais Method from a variety of perspectives, and I'm glad that we have the time to do that. Usually, when I'm doing something with Feldenkrais, I'm the one talking or I'm the one just giving out, and there isn't any kind of interaction, and it's certainly not with another practitioner. So to be asked questions is a wonderful thing, and that's great. So I'm excited for today.
Yeah, so okay, I'm going to ask you questions. You will have permission to talk as usual. So I would like to look with you into your special way of offering Feldenkrais to the world, which is kind of unique as far as I know. And you can start by telling us what's coming next. Your festival is coming in a couple of weeks.
A couple of weeks, yeah.
I hope we can get this episode to air before that. We're a little short of time, but tell us about it. What is the Feldenkrais Festival that you're organizing?
Sure. The Feldenkrais Festival is an idea I put together years ago, maybe 15 years ago, to have fun with Feldenkrais and create something, well, quite frankly, festive. The idea was to have a lot of people come in and learn about Feldenkrais, also learn through the method and have it be fun, do a lot of cross-pollinating, And this is before the pandemic, before I had a sense of how to use my computer. And then over time, it got bigger and bigger. More and more people liked that format. And then when the pandemic hit, that turned out to be a great opportunity to learn, well, first of all, how to use my computer, but how to bring in people from all over the world, not only to study, but to teach. And so what ended up happening is I ended up with whereas it used to be in a small room or just a couple of rooms at a facility, now it's teachers from all over the world over the course of a week teaching students from all over the world. I did festivals in two locations or two structures. One of them was for the general population, and that was successful. And then I also did work at an LGBT elder center, and that was super successful. So I decided to continue with the idea of an LGBT based Feldenkrais Festival, but I didn't want to exclude anybody. So not that LGBTQIA plus isn't long enough, but I added something else. It's LGBTQIA plus everybody else. And so that the whole world is invited to participate, whatever your romantic preference, whatever your gender identity. And that's been a very successful way of presenting the work. And it's also very unique in that there are teachers, again, from all over the world, lots of different perspectives, and people can take classes with a lot of different teachers, and that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, the pandemic did that to us. It forced us to learn how to use the computer, and it opened up the community. It allowed us to communicate and to have this space where we are not limited by geography. So it allowed me, living in a small town in Chile, to communicate with the world. And okay, I can also testify that the festival is very inclusive. I am as straight as they go. And I was very welcome as a teacher and as a participant in your festival. So it is indeed inclusive and open to the whole world with an emphasis on inclusion, which is something that seems necessary even in our community.
I'm in the United States where I'm seeing the political ads and the anti-trans ads, the transphobic ads that one of the candidates is putting forth makes it very clear that there still needs to be safe spaces. And yeah.
Yeah, that are not just inclusive, but declare themselves inclusive in an open way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we can talk a lot about Feldenkrais. This is a wonderful work, and my whole podcast is about mindful movement and the way we use it and make it part of our lives. But you have something very unique. The festival is part of it, but I would like to go a little bit into that. It may be interesting for our colleagues. Most of our colleagues, myself included, when I left the university, I was an employee for 30 years, and I decided to dedicate myself to Feldenkrais. At some point of my life, I was over 60. I had absolutely no idea and no intention of having a business or becoming an entrepreneur. I really had no idea what it meant to be independent, to have to offer something to the world where there is no structure. I had to create the structure. And most of our colleagues, they offer classes, they have a studio, they work individually, they work with small groups, and as far as I know, the idea of we are business owners is not really part of their world. And it's problematic because being an independent, offering something to the world without being employed by anybody, without joining into a structure that already exists, you have to create it one way or the other. And many of us kind of, it doesn't really work as well as we would like it to. And you are one of those unique persons that I know about that have really created a structure. You have a business idea, you have a business, what shall we call it, a structure. So you don't just offer Feldenkrais to the world, you offer it in a very specific way, and you build something that is yours. So tell us a little bit about that. What does it look like?
Sure. I'll approach that from two directions. One, I somehow knew that just putting a sign out on the street saying I teach Feldenkrais would not work. And I knew that was obvious. I also figured out that in order to be able to pay the bills and have people in the room, it would be smart to go to places that were looking for something like this, even though they didn't know they were looking for it. That's a little Feldenkrais there. So, for example, in the fitness arena, in gyms that wanted to expand their membership, to say, I offer classes that will appeal to a population that you're not generating. And you have some people here who want this, but they don't know that they want this. Let me market it within you. Let me use your name recognition, and let's see what happens. And in several places, Equinox Fitness Clubs and also Reebok Sports Club New York, the Feldenkrais classes became the most popular classes on the schedule, more popular than spinning or aerobics or weightlifting, because there was a population that was looking for this, even though they didn't know they were looking for it. When the pandemic hit, that meant that I had to do I had to make a change. I had a mailing list. Fortunately, I didn't realize that I had a mailing list. I was doing workshops around the country, and I told people they could sign up to my website. I had no idea what I was really talking about, but people apparently did, because when the pandemic hit and I needed to go into my computer, the person assisting me said, "Do you have a mailing list?" I said, "Yeah, somewhere in there." And we found it, and I said, "Okay, let's start something up." So he was great in terms of being a business person, in terms of the payments through American Express or Visa and all that kind of stuff. And I had a mailing list, and I had worked in, as I mentioned, Reebok and Equinox, where there were classes every day with a lot of different teachers. I knew teachers, so I figured, you know what? Let's put together a schedule where there are classes every day, and we'll have different teachers coming forward, and they can bring their own people, and also I'll have my members, and so it works out for everybody. So that really was the model. It's kind of simple when I explain it now, but I really wanted people to have an opportunity to study with a lot of different teachers. I also wanted people to have an opportunity to take live classes every day. I think that Feldenkrais is something that, if you don't do it regularly, it fades. Doing a class once a week, I think it's just not enough. Or a class twice a week, I think you need to really be exploring your body. And so that's how I set it up. And now it's been running for a couple of years now, a few years, and I'm having a wonderful time. It's a great community of people who come take classes with me and other teachers, and I'm having fun.
Yeah, so now you have an online membership
That's
where
right.
there are live classes every day.
Live classes every day. That's right.
Okay, and your members really do several classes a week? Is this
Several classes a week.
the norm?
Class a week. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Wow, so you have quite active members in your memberships.
Yes, many of them are you know, it's difficult to do that if you are working full time and you have familial obligations and things like that. But if you are, you know, an artist or a psychiatrist and you make your own hours, you can block that time away, block that time and make it happen. And also, if you're retired, then you can block that time and make it happen. So, and
So,
if I could say one more thing, someone asked me, how often should you do Feldenkrais? And how often should you do Feldenkrais so that you get good at it? I
oh
happen
yeah,
to know that you're a pianist, and you know if you want to play, you know, chopsticks on the piano, you can learn how to do that. If you want to play like Chopin or Oscar Peterson, then you really need to do a little bit more, and you bite off what you want. There are many people who want to take a lesson every once in a while. They just want a little booster, and they think that's fun, and that's great. I think that you know I'm offering something different.
yeah, amazing. No, it's really it's amazing that you have these these people in your memberships who are interested in doing the classes on a daily basis or at least a few times a week.
Mhm.
So it's not what the general public does, really. I mean, I know Feldenkrais himself that was teaching in an apartment in Tel Aviv for many years. He had these people coming for once a week or twice a week, and that was kind of the normal one. Has a group. When it is live, you have to go to a place, to a studio to take a class. Most people won't do it every day. It is, again, something that the online space makes more possible, more available, no? You don't have to
Yes, but
commute.
yeah. Mhm. But if I'm sorry for interrupting, but you know, I taught in the fitness arena where a lot of people were accustomed to doing things daily. For example, taking a yoga class every day. And when I taught at Equinox, there were several locations around the city, and some people expanded their membership so that they could take class in the different locations. So they would actually travel to a different neighborhood to take a class, and so it became much easier for them to take classes every day when it went online.
Hmm. Yeah, it's true. People who go to the gym and are quite religious about it,
Right,
they spend some time every day in the gym.
right.
Yeah, fantastic. I actually, the thing that I've created online was also something that was made possible by the online medium. Is a very short session of like 3-minute session, and with the idea of making it every day. What occurred to me is that people won't do a whole class every day because most people just don't have this 3 hour every day to dedicate to Feldenkrais, although I would love to do it myself and I don't. But you seem to have a whole community of people who actually find the time for it and find it important enough to create this window of time on a daily basis or almost.
Almost, yeah, almost daily. And sometimes, for example, during the festival, people will take 4 lessons in a row, if that's available. During the festival, we're going to have 24 hours in a row. I hope nobody decides to do 24 lessons in a row. I'll be sleeping during part of that. Michael, you'll be teaching it, if that's right. And yeah, so but there are some people who you'll see will be there for several lessons, which is it's fun. And we went during our training, of course we had days like that where we would take several lessons, break for lunch, and come back. But that's because we were aspiring to be Feldenkrais practitioners. These are
Yeah.
enthusiasts.
Yeah, of course, we were dedicating ourselves to learn the trade, so it
Exactly.
was intensive. Yeah, well, a Feldenkrais marathon is a wonderful thing. Like you take a few days and you really um, go into it deeply, but it's not something that most people will do on a daily basis.
Right.
So, who is teaching in the festival? What's coming up? Any surprises that you can?
Let's see. We've got Nick Strauss-Klein. and you, of course. We
Yeah,
have Marcela, who's coming from Argentina, and
Marcela Beret Schneider.
yeah, Brett Schneider, exactly. We have Maggie Burrows from London. We have Ruti Bar from Israel. We have Margaret Kay. She's going to be handling all of Asia. She's the coordinator for Australia, New Zealand, and all of Asia. So we have a whole bunch of teachers. If you go to feldenkrais or Frederick Schjang, my name, frederickschjang.com, you'll see that here. You'll see all the teachers listed. It's a wonderful thing. And if you sign up, it's pay what you can. So we do have a recommended amount, but it's really what you can pay. Because of course we run into costs. We have tech people working and all that. And so we do have costs. And also we're giving money to 3 different charities. We have 3 charities. One, Rainbow Railroad, that assists people who are in countries that are under siege, where people, LGBT people, are under siege of threat of death. That's an organization out of Canada that brings LGBT people out of those countries and basically rescues them. And we have another group that works with homeless LGBT youth. Many young LGBT people are kicked out of their homes, and so this is an organization that does that. And then there's also the SAGE organization, the LGBT elders. There are many people in the elder LGBT community where I was doing my work, and I still do some work with them, that have been disconnected from the socioeconomic ladder that most of us have been able to climb through to reach an older age where you have this stability of a home or some kind of investments or Social Security. But if you've been kicked out of jobs, kicked out of housing, all of that along the way, then you end up as an elder in the community without financial support or social support. Another thing I do with that organization is Thanksgiving dinner, the big Thanksgiving family holiday here in the United States. I host that, and it's wonderful because, first of all, it's a mob scene. The number of LGBT people who don't have family, who come to have dinner at that facility is huge. And I get big hugs. I've been doing that for about 10 years. So every Thanksgiving morning, I'm there for a few hours, and it's beautiful. People who only see me once a year come up and scream my name and give me a hug, and that's a wonderful thing. But in a way, it's a little sad that I'm that important, and I'm there only once a year. That's so it's a little bit like, wow, so hey, but that's another story. That's another story.
Yeah, well, it may be connected with, at least the way you do it, it connects very well because you have created this environment of which Feldenkrais is part, but it has a much broader social view, and inclusion is part of it, but also taking care of people, creating a community where attention to our body and to ourselves is a part of it, awareness, as we use it as a tool for health, and it's part of a much larger creation. I think it is quite amazing what you've managed to do with it.
Thank you. And I think I stumbled upon something that Michelle Feldenkrais talked about in terms of self-validation. Many people who go through the kind of education that you and I went through prior to Feldenkrais Method, the structure of the education was that there was a teacher on high with the right answers, telling us, the students, what to aspire to, what to do, what is correct. And I think in particular for LGBT elders working with their bodies, to have that coming from the outside all the time saying, okay, this is right and this is wrong. You know, your gender identity, you're not supposed to think this. Who you're attracted to, you're not supposed to think that. To have that coming from the outside, just that structure is problematic. To have there be a place where I am truly an ally to your learning. I'm facilitating, I'm creating an educational structure in which you, from inside yourself, that's how the method works. You inside yourself take the ideas that I give you and you find what makes sense. The right answer is the right answer, or a right answer is self-generated. And it's not specific to, I mean, it is specific to you without there being an external ideal on the outside that you are in any way aspiring to. And I love yoga. I taught it for many years. I love Pilates, but there's a correct way to do this. This is the way you're supposed to align yourself in most Pilates classes, in most yoga classes. And Feldenkrais is not like that. And some people find that very disquieting. Like, why won't you tell me what to do?
Yeah, tell me if I'm doing it right.
Exactly. What's the right answer? You know, or as one of my students who is a psychiatrist, and he's also he studies Feldenkrais. He says he has people who come to him and say, "Well, how am I supposed to love this person? What's the right way?" And it's like
Oh, yeah.
you're going down the wrong route. That's just not where it is. So yeah, I think there's something very special about the the pedagogy of Feldenkrais that works very, very well for any marginalized community. But also for us, I think it's really refreshing to not have somebody on high telling us stuff and we find it inside ourselves. And if I can say one more thing, built into the structure is constant failure, but it's inconsequential. So we say, okay, go as far as you can without increasing your efforting. See where that is. And to a degree, that means, you know, I'm turning my head or I'm turning my arm and I'm not going further. And I could look upon that as, oh my goodness, I'm such a terrible person. I'm such a failure. My head doesn't go any further. But you habituate yourself to saying, okay, this is an obstacle that I run into, and I habituate myself to overcoming it. I know that through this process, inside myself, I have the skills that I can bring forth so that my head will turn further with grace. I will breathe more freely because I learn. I learn how I operate, how I work, and then that gives me agency as I go out into the world. And I think that's an amazing structure within. So that's not about the specific movements, which is again really hard for people to see. A lot that it's about this and the lesson of where you do this or the lesson where you do that. That to me is sort of like going to a museum and only seeing the frames of the pictures. Okay, there's this frame and then this. That's just not. You can, yeah, that's true, but that's not what's going on. And so,
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I'm very aware of the revolutionary part of this method and this way of understanding learning. I mean, Feldenkrais looked a lot at babies and kind of recreated into adult learning this very original and huge amount and way of learning that babies have. I mean, this is the greatest learning that we do in our lives. Happens not in our doctoral thesis, it happens in the first 2 years of our lives. And we don't follow a program, we don't get the right answers, we don't have professional teachers, we don't care about the Ministry of Education, we learn. And this is really revolutionary, and I have it always at the back of my mind that, like, it's not really about the movement. We're not trying to reach anything, and I have to remind myself of it. And I've been with it over 30 years, and I have to keep reminding it to my students. Yeah, so So it's a huge shift. It's really revolutionary, and it creates an opportunity, an environment for learning that is very unique and very missing in our culture. The thing that I'd like to come back to in your use of the method is what happens in a class, and what happens to most of us is that when we do Feldenkrais, we are in self-observation. We bring our attention from reacting to the world, from the whole noise of the outside world, and we kind of focus. It's a mindful practice. You bring your attention to yourself and you observe yourself. So it is very self-absorbed in the moment of actually paying attention to yourself in movement. You shut out the world in some way. And then what we have to do as practitioners, as people, we finish a class, we go out to the world. What do we do with that? And this is not really part of it's not part of the technical work that we do in class. You have to do something with it. And you're actually doing it. You have created a community with those principles. So it's like Buddhist monks. They spend years in seclusion. They go to a cave for 5 years and just meditate so that they can go out to the world and share the wisdom. It's not just so that it's not for my own sake. And this is something that that is not really present or not consciously present in the class. You have to finish the class and then do something with it. And this is something that you're doing very, very clearly in creating a community with those principles, where this kind of sensitivity to self, this permission to get the answers from within and take it out to the world is present. So this is really unique.
Thank you. And that, yeah, one organization that I worked with for a while had a logo saying it's not about fitness, it's about life. But when I looked at most of what that was going on in the classroom, it was like, oh, okay, now you lift 5 pounds so that you can lift 6 pounds.
Yeah.
You stretch this number of degrees so you can stretch that number of degrees. And I am not obviously not interested in that. As you're saying, I look to take it beyond that. For example, we're doing a program soon, also in November, going to museums to bring activity into the museum where people take Feldenkrais classes and then have their portraits done. And that's the type of art. So it's an activity based on this, and doing things. Oh, that I invited you to, but you weren't able to come. I know it's a long flight to come up from Chile to do something in Spanish Harlem, and then walk around that neighborhood, Spanish-speaking neighborhood that was devastated during the pandemic, and experience that after taking standing Feldenkrais classes with a few teachers. So some people came for that. It was lovely, really lovely, and yeah.
I think we can wrap up. Any other wisdom that you would like to share with our listeners before we invite them to the festival? Of course, all the links will be in the episode notes.
Yeah, you know what? I think I went to a Quaker college, and the emphasis there was definitely not on music or art. That was just something. If you think of what a Quaker meeting looks like, that was not what they had to offer. But coming from a place of absolute integrity was was paramount. We had not only a council for student council, but we had a council on honor, so that you could appeal to that council in terms of being honorable, and if other classmates were not being honorable. A very beautiful thing. Again, we didn't focus so much on art or music, but the relationship to the body was one that really struck me, which is, if you don't take care of your body, where are you going to live? And that's like, wow. Now, there have been times when I forgot about that. I taught a funky aerobics class. I used to love to dance, and I taught a funky aerobics class, and I didn't believe that we only get one set of knees, that we have to buy them if they wear out. and, and so I taught aerobics, jumping up and down and doing all of that. So I kind of I veered away from the idea of, if you don't take care of your body, where are you going to live? It took until I was over 40 before I realized, okay, this is true. I, I need to do something daily to keep myself together, just like I need to eat every day. I need to brush my teeth every day. I need to clean myself every day. Doing something for my body is something that's essential. So if that's a pearl of wisdom, I share that with you.
Yeah, take care of your body, do it every day. Your body is your temple, and this is what you present yourself in the world with. Yeah, I'll second that.
I hear it.
So, Frederick, I will see you in the festival, not in New York, unfortunately, but online. Thank you very much for your words, for your work, for everything that you do. Seems like the world is a little bit better with you in it.
Well, thank you. I also thank you for giving me an opportunity to talk to your folks about the stuff that I do, and this work. That's really a joy. So thank you so much.
You're welcome, and I'll see you around.
All righty.